All right, it's our Sports Page Summer of Football. We're talking to some head football coaches around the country to preview the 2012 season, and there's certainly a lot of interest and intrigue and curiosity on North Carolina State, more than ever. Normally there is, but more than ever, because Tennessee and North Carolina State will open up the 2012 season in Atlanta at the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. The head football coach entering his 6th year at North Carolina State, Tom O'Brien, joins us here on the new Sentinel Sports Page. Hey, Coach O'Brien, it's Vince Ferrara and Dan Fleser. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Well, Coach, I saw some video recently on your terrific All-American cornerback and David Amerson and kind of the video breakdown of his interceptions last year and setting an NCAA record. Give me your thoughts on David Amerson and how special of a player he really is in your words.
Well, he's a great kid, and that's the neat thing about him. But he's a guy that when he came in, we knew that we thought he was extremely talented. We played him as a freshman. We put him into the boundary to try to make sure that he had gained some confidence, and played in college games. After his first year, we knew we had to move him to the field. We put him out there because we play a field in the boundary corner. And give him the opportunity to play against the best player on every team's offense. And certainly he has a knack for the football. He understands what's going on. I think the thing that the strides he's made, he's become a better off-the-field student of the game and has studied much more his opposition, learned how to study his opposition here in the off-season. The concern, that I have with him is that, he might not get the opportunity to intercept as many balls this year, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be a better football player.
Coach, I want to go to the other side of the ball and have you talk a little bit about Mike Glennon and his evolution as a quarterback and just where you see him now in terms of his abilities.
Well, a year ago, we made the decision to go with Michael. When he first came to camp here and he threw the ball after about 5 minutes, Dana Bible and I looked at each other and said, this is Matt Ryan. This is deja vu all over again. He spent his time. Last year was his time to start, just like anybody who plays for the first time. He had his ups and downs, but he certainly got better as the year went on. That's because of his ability to focus and work extremely hard in the football game. He's a kid that graduated in 3 years, so he was able to play last year, as a graduate student, and that helped him with his off-field things. He got better as the year went on, really played well, especially in the month of November, used that time from the last game to the bowl game. He finally had a body of work to look at and study and came out and played as well as he has all year in the bowl game. He's done all those things, used those things to study and work through spring practice on a lot of fundamental things that we think we can get him better at. Sometimes as the season goes on, last year, because of all the X and O's and things going on, you lose sight of some of the fundamentals. But now that he's more comfortable, the game slowed down for him. We got back to fundamentals. He's had a nice summer, as he said, traveling to the Manning camp and the Elite 11 camp. And so all I know is the starting point come July 31st is a lot better than it was a year ago.
Coach, you mentioned Matt Ryan. Is the comparisons between Mike and Matt, is it across the board? Is he that similar, or does he have some unique qualities?
I think they're very similar where they are at this point. Matty didn't start till he was a redshirt junior for us at Boston College. Did the same thing, got better as a year, and then had a great senior year. So, we're hoping that, it plays out the same way for Michael.
We're visiting with North Carolina State head football coach Tom O'Brien here. The North Carolina State Wolfpack and the Tennessee Volunteers, of course, opening up the season in 2012 in Atlanta in the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic. Coach, talk about your lines a little bit. I know a lot. Football games, you're big on those lines, and that's where the line of scrimmage is where it's decided. Kind of give us your summary and your thoughts on first your offensive line and then hit on your defensive line.
Well, the offensive line building one here has been a struggle. I mean, that was always one of our strengths at Boston College, and you look in the NFL rosters, we probably got a guy there somewhere. This is the first time since we've been here that we actually have depth and experience up front, and certainly we expect better things out of them this year. We're still moving guys around. I said at the end of spring practice, I wish I had another couple more practices to change a couple more guys around, just trying to make sure we get the best 5 in the best spots for them up front. Defensively, we lost both our starting tackles inside, but we have some young kids that are really talented. We have a lot of guys at the defensive end and defensive tackle position. We were devastated last year up front. We lost one kid, starting defensive end for the year, the second week of the year. We had a couple defensive tackles miss multiple games because they broke their foot in preseason camp for the first game. So that afforded some of these younger kids who we didn't want to play the opportunity to play last year. Where it was bad last year, it's good for us this year because we've got some kids that we think that, they're short on experience, but they're pretty talented young guys. So, we'll see how that works out for us this year.
Coach, on the defensive line, do you feel like maybe some of that experience that was gained last year kind of can offset some of the relative youth of these players that you're talking about?
Well, that's our hope. We've got 29 days to prepare for Tennessee, and, we're going to get these guys as much work as they can. The good thing about opening against a great program like Tennessee with all the history and tradition they have is that it has these guys' attention since we got back in January. So, they worked hard through, the training session there, worked hard through spring camp, and from all indications, they're doing what they have to do this summer.
Joined by North Carolina State head coach Tom O'Brien here on the New Sentinel Sports page. Coach, give me your thoughts. Talk a little bit more about Tennessee and what you've seen from them on tape.
Well, offensively, the quarterback he's made the circuit with Michael. So, from what Michael said, he's a really good player, strong-arm kid that make a lot of throws. You can see that on tape. They have a tremendous wide receiver. I think they've got 10 starters back on offense, and it's a junior-senior offense, I think, at 9 positions. So they've got experience. They've got players that can beat you. Defensively, the staff's all new, so we know they have good players. We're just not sure how they're going to get them lined up. One thing we know about the defensive staff there that they've been an aggressive staff, so we expect them to make it very difficult to make any type of drive one way or another. And so, it's going to be a great football game. They've got both their punter and kicker back, so a lot of experience on this football team heading into this year.
Coach, when did you first start preparing for Tennessee? How long has that been going on in the offseason?
Well, once we got to the month of June, as we were running our camps, we started to take a look at them. Certainly, we've been back in the office. We start practice next Tuesday. Spent a lot of time, this past 10 days or whatever, looking at Tennessee, and, we'll put them aside once we start camp. I worked for Coach Welsh for all those years, and, he's been a great believer that through spring practice and preseason camp, the best thing you can do is make your individuals better. And as individuals improve, your team improves. And then at some point, once we break camp, then we'll get back and look at Tennessee. But we won't spend time on them until maybe 8-9 days before the game.
Do you have, last thing, Coach, and we really appreciate your time, do you have any relationships or have you worked with anyone on the Tennessee staff right now?
I coached Eric Dooley.
About that. So what do you think about him here at Tennessee? I'm sure you're fond of him.
He inherited a very difficult situation, and things don't happen overnight. It takes a while now in college football with the limited scholarships and everything. So I think he's headed in the right direction. You look at the football team he's got coming back, probably the best he's had since he's been there. I don't want to put words in his mouth or he'll holler at me, but that's the way it is.
Well, he won't send you a tweet. I think that's safe to say. Hey, Coach, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you in Atlanta.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Coach.
That is Tom O'Brien, head football coach at North Carolina State, joining us, our sports page summer of football.